Hi, welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. Today is going to be packed with comedy. Not only just comedy, but how do we take pain and turn it into laughter and comedy to impact the masses? It's funny because you probably think that would be a hard thing to do. Take your pain and flip it to where you can bring laughter out of what you went through and resonate it to other people and completely change your life around. Today on the show, I'm really excited because this young man is definitely setting the comedy industry on fire, especially when he tells you what he did previously before he got into comedy. I was like totally shocked. Today in studio, we have the one, the only, the Mr. Funny himself, Joey Lee, all the way from Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to the show, Joey.
Thank you, Andre. That was very, very, very nice introduction.
So tell the viewers a little bit about who you are.
Okay, Andre. My name is Joe Giammarco. I go by the stage name Joey Lee.
Okay.
I'm from Columbus, Ohio. My parents immigrated here from Italy right after World War II. Went to Ohio State, have an engineering degree, and I've worked 37 years at Honda designing cars. But during about 2012, my wife left me. It devastated me. I lost contact with two of my three children. For one is still I haven't really seen in over 10, 12 years. Was depressed, suicidal, but I battled through that. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, you know how people say, don't focus on your problems, focus on other people. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I wrote a book to help others people not get into the same situation I did, to learn from my mistakes and be better men.
Let's go back for a minute. I can tell you're Italian because I used to wear loafers with no socks, Italian loafers. You're from Sicily area, right?
No, my parents were from the Abruzzi region, which is basically across from Rome on the Adriatic side of the boot.
Your parents came here during the war. Did they share stories with you about their, let's call it, their own Holocaust from
war to
the United States? What was that like for them when they shared their story?
Well, I actually wrote a PowerPoint presentation about their lives that I shared with my son's sociology class. Mm-hmm. And there's kind of two stories. My mom's side, which was her father and two brothers were in the United States, one of which was an American citizen. He was born here and actually was sent to Italy during the Italian invasion.
Wow.
And meanwhile, my mom and her sisters and her mother were back in Italy without any men around, and the Germans took over the house right next to them. And so, fortunately nothing happened to them, but, they experienced the American bombing, and who knows if my uncle was part of that.
How does that, when they share with you their story and people that know the history of that war, your family actually lived it and stuff. How did that impact you growing up? Because you were born here, right?
Yes.
How did that affect you knowing what they went through and them bringing you being born here to have a better opportunity in life?
Well, I think the way it affected me was, there's some people who are born of immigrants and they kind of don't take it seriously. Mm-hmm. They don't really take it to heart. But for me, I'm very proud of my parents and the example that they set for me. And I never made fun of them or took anything they did, their broken English or whatever, and made fun of it. We would always help them.
Now you know my favorite movie. I just told you when you walked in the door.
Right.
The Godfather. Like how deep is the Italian heritage? You know, when you see stuff like The Godfather, you go, "Wow, man, those guys are really like deep in their culture." Was that what you was taught in your household?
Oh yes. If you scrape away all the violence from The Godfather, just scrape that away, it's very, very authentic.
Really?
You know, that's the way we lived. Everybody thinks that all the Italians lived in New York and have a New York accent and say things like gabagool or what's the other thing they say?
I don't know about
Whatever. But my parents never used those words.
Really?
They just spoke Italian.
How did you wind up? You share with me your career as you worked in the automotive industry designing cars. Did I get that right?
Yes, at Honda R&D, research and development.
Okay, you got to tell me how that works. Like, how do you develop a car? Like, what's the procedures that you have to go through?
Well, we start off with sketches. That's the very beginning.
Right.
Sketches of the car, designers, artists basically out in LA draw sketches of what the car is going to look like on the outside and on the inside. Then we form a team of engineers that begin to start to talk to them and say, okay, you might want to change this, you might want to change that. We go through the feasibility stage, what we call the feasibility stage, which what is the engineering side's ability to create that design? And we work with the designers to come to some consensus about that.
Now, do you guys do? We're gonna talk about the football jerseys in a minute. Do you guys do like a Bill Belichick type play where you go and spy on other automotive people to come up to make sure that you put that your vehicle and your design is going to be the one that people pick?
Oh yes, we do clinics where we gather people. I worked on some Acura products, so we would study like Mercedes Benz or
Really? That's not against the
Lexus, or no, we would bring their customers in. We'd have cars there, and we'd ask them questions, and we would not tell them we were from Honda, but we would ask them questions that we knew. We were actually behind a kind of a one-way glass,
Right.
so we could actually hear and ask questions while there's a moderator in the room. Yeah, we do a lot of that, especially up front.
What's the most difficult part of your job?
Probably the most difficult part of the job is obviously we can say, hey, we're developing this car for the next 4 years. But we're not only supposed to try to, hey, these people already have these functions, we just need to catch up to them. The hardest thing is we're trying to predict what customers will want that don't recognize it yet. They don't know what they want.
You're trying to develop a car maybe 3 years ahead of its time, more or less, with technology and
so we're trying to think beyond what the customer will actually tell us. Like what are the trends in society and what kind of things will customers expect even though they don't know it yet.
Were there ever any pitfalls for you becoming to get into the career that you're into, especially being Italian, and a lot of doors just don't open up for us. Even I consider myself an immigrant as well. Were there any difficulties for you?
No, when I graduated from high school, my dad had a concrete construction business. So I worked with him in the summers and on Saturdays.
Where's the concrete business at? We need to go break up some stone.
I can get those shoes there filled with the concrete. But and I worked with him, and I worked
Okay.
hard. We learned how to use picks and shovels and dig ditches and dig holes.
Shh, you know how to do what? Picks and shovel and dig holes. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going back to the movie now.
And when I graduated from high school, my thought was, hey, I'm going to go to work with my dad and do construction. My dad said, no, 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 no. No, no, no. This isn't the life for you. I have a 5th grade education, and I came here with nothing, and I built this. But I want you to work hard, but I want you to work with your brain hard. So
were you really smart
dad
in
told
school?
me to
Were you
become-
smart in high school?
I was good in especially math and science, so I got good grades.
Okay. You played sports?
No, not really, because that's one of the things about Italians is they don't consider sports valuable because it's not work. My dad would always say, you know what they need? They need to make a sport of who can dig ditches the fastest. That's what we need.
So your father had no favorite,
No, typically
favorite team and
Italians.
nothing like that?
No.
Really?
Typically Italians think of that's a waste of time.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
And I played some, but not much. It wasn't encouraged. It wasn't discouraged, but wasn't encouraged either. The kind of the Italian steps to success was, work hard, learn to work hard with your back, then go to school and get a good job, and then work hard with your brain.
What made you decide to go to Ohio State? I know you're in Ohio and stuff. You didn't look at any other schools?
At that time, looking at schools out, different schools, and nowadays, kids will visit like 10 places. Back then, it was like, okay, I'm in Columbus, Ohio. Ohio State's half an hour drive away.
Yeah, but Purdue has the #1 engineering school.
Yeah, but I'm in Columbus, so it was kind of pretty natural. I don't remember going to any colleges or anything.
What was it like for you going? Are you the first generation college?
My sister was, and then me.
How was that for you? Because you're the first male. She's a female. So how was that for you?
My parents were very proud of me. Again, it was they had nothing in their pockets. They had the fact that my dad did concrete. It wasn't like he did concrete in Italy. He had to learn a profession, and also, they didn't want their children to just do backbreaking work. It was okay for them, but my dad was proud that I was an engineer. He basically told me, "You should become an engineer."
Oh, your dad told you that?
Yeah, but I had some other influences, some drafting teachers, math teachers that also encouraged me.
What would have been your second choice if that wasn't in your cards? What would have been your second choice?
I was considering like architecture.
Okay, something where you was really using your brain, basically.
Right.
Okay. Now you wind up meeting the love of your life. Let's call it what it is at that particular point in time, in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it fizzles. You wind up going through all kind of complications. What was that like? What was that like for you? Share a little bit of that. And the only reason why I'm saying that, you don't have to give the details, but I'm trying to show the people how you can take what you've went through, because you shared a lot of that with me, and we share some of the same trials and tribulations, but how you was able to take all that pain and get into the comedy field, which we'll get into in a minute. But you wind up having a family and so forth, and then all of a sudden it took a turn for the worse.
Well, yes, my wife took the kids and left me suddenly on Pearl Harbor Day, 2012.
Not a good day.
So I don't know if that was a plan, but it certainly was a sneak attack. I did not see it coming. It was a Friday night, and I don't know how. I don't think I slept at all that night, obviously. But the next morning, I got up and I knew my pastor was always working on his sermon on Saturday morning. So I got with him, asked him to counsel me, in hopes that my wife would want to reconcile. And I worked real hard at that.
And you had no idea.
Yeah, I had no idea.
So a lot of women probably can't understand this because I had somewhat of a similar situation. A lot of people can't put in. I always tell people, walk in somebody else's shoes for a minute. Here's a man, and most people wouldn't be able to relate to the fact that you're a father. No matter who left, no matter what the situation was, you are a father to your kids. You take care of your kids. You have just as much emotions tied up in the raising and development of your kids as your wife. And to turn around and come be hit blindside by that, it had to have an emotional tone. I think a lot of people probably when they hear this, they can't even fathom that because they can't put themselves in it because they probably saying, you a man, you don't have no feelings, blah, 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 blah. But you really heard it and couldn't sleep when that happened.
Right, and I couldn't sleep for months. I'd wake up exactly at 4 o'clock in the morning.
When did you find out that she had...
I'm looking at the ceiling. Then I'd start walking around the neighborhood in my pajamas.
How long was it before she contacted you or you made contact to find out where my kids are at?
I contacted her right away, and she basically said, or she wrote on her note, don't call us for a week or something. Give us some time to get settled. But I called her right away. Like, what's going on,
You had no idea? I mean, was everything cool in the house? Because some people say there's always a flag.
Yeah, there were flags. There was, I think, probably 3 basic issues. One was who should our kids love? Just her or both of us?
It's almost like a parent alienation.
Right. And then the second issue was she undermined my relationship with the kids. And then on my part, I have verbally abused her. And that was due to several factors that I worked on with therapists.
My hat is off to you for admitting, because a lot of times we always hear the point of the blame, but my hat's off to you for taking accountability. You recognized it. You went through therapy. Was she able to go to therapy? Did she know you was going to therapy to address your issues?
I tried, and the pastor tried to get her to start after he worked with me quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I think you're ready. I'm going to ask your wife if she's willing to counsel with you.
Mm-hmm.
But her answer was no.
How does that make you feel? Because the bigger point here, what the audience need to recognize is you have a family. It takes two people to get to that point. And now you're recognizing your impact, but to have her say no, how did that make you feel?
I was devastated because she didn't answer me. She answered the pastor, and he read me her answer. And he said, basically, Joe, you're going to be divorced. She doesn't want to do that.
She didn't even talk to the count. She didn't even talk with the pastor about it.
No, it was through emails. So it was because I always held out hope. I'm trying so hard to change, be a better man,
Mm-hmm.
be a better husband, be a better father. I own up to all the things that she thought about me and wish I was different. And I tried so hard. And in the end.
How long did this last for you? You got kids. How long did this last?
Well, we were married at that time for about 25 years.
Wow.
So it wasn't like we just met. and we just didn't like each other. The divorce took 2 years almost.
It took 2 years
Two
to get a
years.
divorce.
Yes.
Why did it take so long? Was it continuous? She didn't. Was she's having second thoughts? Did you?
No, it was, we were wrestling with the children issues. Also, we had, a large amount of wealth to split up.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to get what?
It can be ugly.
Yeah.
But more importantly, you're dealing with kids. How were the kids impacted, and how did the divorce change your relationship with your kids?
Well, my oldest son was 18, and he actually chose to live with me.
Okay.
And so our relationship was good and still is good.
Okay.
But my middle son, to this day, I really don't have a relationship with him. So I haven't really seen him for, a dozen years. I have no way to contact him or anything. That saddens me.
Does your 18-year-old at the time, he's older, does he reach out to his other siblings and say, look, you need to...
I ask him to, but
Let's
his
talk to
answer is always like, no, I don't want to get in the middle of it.
So you think, and I'm just saying, you just think that maybe the mom, there was a lot of sabotage mentally on him on one side. Well, look what dad did, blah, 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 to me, blah, blah, blah.
I think so. Like, I remember I asked my then ex-wife, could I at least contact my daughter by email? Can I send her an email once a month or once a week or something like that? And she said, yes, you can do that. But what I want you to do is I want you to write it. Once you send it to me, I'll read it. And if I think it's okay, I'll pass it on to her, get her answer, type her answer in, and send it back to you.
Sounds like she's a control freak.
That don't sound.
Yeah.
That don't sound like maybe she probably never saw one of them. This sounds kind of strange. How
old are your kids now?
My oldest is 31.
Okay.
My middle son's 27, and my daughter is 22.
They'll come around, Joe.
I'm praying for that.
They'll come around in time. In time.
That's what a lot of men have told me.
It happened in time. Because you got to get past, I think what it is you have to get past is two sides to every story. And a lot of times when they only hear your side of the story, the one side of the story, it's hard to deprogram them. So in time, and I'm not a therapist, and I'm not trying to play one. If you heard it from a lot of men, it's because a lot of men have gone down your path. Eventually, it will happen, and when it does, I know from just sitting here talking to you, would never say anything to throw the mom up under the bus because you just taking accountability. Hopefully, you will still carry that same thought into that opportunity when it does happen, because it will happen, trust me. Just give them time. Time heals a lot of things. How do you move on with your life from this moment on? There was moments of suicide. I've been down that road. I know the pain of wanting to be a part of your children's life and dealing with the court system. We share the guardian ad litems. I call them the partial people, because they never look at us
Right.
as capable of being in that role of a parent. Don't just call it a father. This is call it what it is, a parent. And we have that dignity always taken from us because society has put us in classifications: mom, dad, father. The whole ideal is a parent. How do you move on with your life and get out of the suicide thoughts and be productive, at least not only to yourself, but to
to your son that's now living with you, because he chose to live with you because evidently he believed in what he sees in you?
Well, people gave me lots of advice, and specifically, and I didn't at the time really believe it, but now looking back,
Mm-hmm.
I realize how valuable it is. People would say, don't think about your problems. Go out and help people.
Mm-hmm.
Help people with their problems, so you won't dwell on yours. So I started working with inner city kids, and found out, a lot of things about inner city kids. I live in Dublin. I think you know that area.
I love Dublin, Hilliard.
It's not an inner city area.
No, it's not.
But I
I
go
live
to,
in Gahanna too.
yeah, but I go to an inner city church,
Right.
and I help with children. And I remember one time there was 3 or 4 children that were missing, and I asked the head of the program. I said, "Hey, I wonder why these kids are missing. Usually they're here." He says, "Well, today is the day they're visiting their mom or dads in jail." I'm like, "Really?
Mm.
Really? That's so terrible that that's how they live." And I'm like, that shouldn't be. We need to help these people somehow.
Mm.
I also do feeding the homeless.
Did it help you though? Did you get at least some gratification from doing this? Did it take your mind off of it?
It did. It did. And it helped me to see, what people were telling me. Spend your time dwelling on others, not on yourself.
You wind up doing something even more. You wrote this book, God's Message to Men. Let me turn this around. Great book. What was the purpose behind this?
Well, I wanted to, like I said, give back. I made mistakes in my life. We talked about that. And I worked hard to change. And rather than say, "Hey, here's all the mistakes I made and why my marriage failed," that is kind of the underlying reason why I wrote the book.
Mm.
But I made it more like, here's some things that I want men to know so that they can have a better relationship with God than their spouse, than their children, than their world. So I wanted to give them practical ideas,
right,
and also a self-assessment so they can, understand where they are and where they need to go next.
Give me an idea of self-assessment in there that you wished that you had the foresight to have put into your own relationship.
Well, I think one of the chapters is related to love. Love your wife. In the Bible, it tells husbands to love their wives, but it tells wives to respect their husbands. Now, why does God give 2 different directions? Well, that's because if you ask most men, what would you rather have, love or respect? They'd say respect. Mm-hmm. And vice versa. If you ask a woman,
she wants to be loved.
She wants to be loved. So I have a chapter in there about talking about love. And, I found out that in the Bible, the word for love your wife, the word love, is the same word that's used by God of how God loves us. In other words, unconditional love, not conditional love to our wives and unconditional to God. It's the same thing. And then I started looking at, the love is kind, love is, all those.
Love is patience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have an assessment where I go through each one. Am I patient? Am I kind?
Are you understanding?
Am I, long suffering? Maybe not. And I started to see that and say, yeah, if I had made this for me a while back, maybe I would have been able to correct the things before they got to the point that they did.
How difficult was it for you to write that book? Because when you're writing a book that's a message to men, you literally have to be vulnerable. So who were you more vulnerable with? Who did you share the insights with? Did you have somebody that you was able to sit down and talk to as you was formulating this book and be, because you got to be authentic. Who are you authentic with at the time, and who did you share that with?
I have a kind of a core group of friends. I always recommend that men have a tight circle of men in their lives they can go to for advice or to help them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a tight circle of friends, and I gave them not the finished product, but like the PowerPoint or the typed out version, and asked them to read it and tell me what they thought of it. And they all did and gave me practical. I asked my associate pastor. He read it as well. And
what was some of the feedback that you was getting from them before it actually went to print?
There was some chapters where they said, well, you kind of say the same thing twice.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was positive, saying, hey, you really buried your soul here. I can really feel it. My pastor unbelievably said, hey, I wouldn't change a thing. It's perfect.
Right.
He gave me the book back. And I said, no, that's yours. And he goes, really? And he goes, would you mind autographing it for me?
Yeah,
so I autographed it. So
it's
really cool.
Have any women read your book?
I've shared copies.
You said something on how the universe or God or whatever interprets love and respect. You're coming from a man's standpoint because you're coming authentically from your experience, but how have women perceived the book? Because now they have to translate our emotions, men's emotions, versus their own.
I've shared copies with women, and the basic feedback I get is, well, this is great for men, but what about women? And I say, well, I write it for men because in the current day,
right,
men are in areas of leadership,
right,
whether we like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And men are struggling to be good leaders.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the statistics of children being brought up in fatherless homes, things like that. But I say to women, look, it says men, but you can use it too. There are some instructions for you. For example, there's a chapter called Angelo. If you remember Jack Nicklaus's caddy, his name was Angelo. He was kind of a far out guy. And people would ask him, what do you do for Jack Nicklaus? You don't choose clubs. You don't mark off his distance. What do you exactly do for him? And he said, I do two things. When he's not playing well, I remind him he's the greatest golfer in the world. And number two, I tell him there's plenty of holes left. And that's what a woman's role is to a man.
That sounds like Marcus Aurelius. He used to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I said, there's chapters related to you. There's chapters that it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. It's related to you. And also, you might want to highlight an area that your husband's struggling in and maybe put the book under his pillow with it open like this.
Make him get some homework.
Yeah, give him a subtle hint. So that's how I handle that.
Joey, how can they get the book? How can the viewers get a copy of the book?
It's in Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all the other, but mainly Amazon and Barnes & Noble is where I go buy copies.
And it's God's message to men. So make sure you guys go to Amazon and anywhere you buy your books and your novels, and make sure you pick up a copy. Let's move on a little bit into something even more astounding. You wind up getting into the comedy field. You're known now in Ohio as Mr. Comedy himself.
First of all, what is up with number 7, the jersey? What's up with this?
Okay, this is part of my character. Um, I wear this on stage for a couple reasons. One is it's a John Elway number 7. So I'm an old guy. People probably don't remember John Elway, but they ask me, well, "Who's John Elway?" or "Why are you wearing John Elway?"
You couldn't get a Roger Staubach?
I could have. But the other reason is there's two colors that excite the mind. One is yellow and one is orange.
Okay.
So when they see me in orange, oh, there's Joey. There's Joey.
Right.
You look bigger you look like you stand out on stage when you wear that orange. It really pops
Right.
for you. So it's like my my uniform.
How long did it take to come up with this idea?
I just started thinking about it, and it just came to me, and I went to the online and said, 1987 Broncos jerseys,
And John Elway pops
I
up.
got 2 of those, one in the wash and one on me.
How difficult was it for you to get into comedy? I cannot imagine someone that's designing cars to just take the leap of faith and do comedy. Did you like comedy growing up?
Yeah, I like comedy. I loved especially the older shows like Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello and Gomer Pyle.
Oh, I
and
love Gomer
USMC.
Pyle. Yeah, I love Gomer.
Rodney Dangerfield is my favorite.
I was getting ready to say his pitch line. I fucked her.
Yeah, I don't get no respect.
Yeah.
I was alive during the comedy boom in the early '80s, the late '70s.
Who was your favorite?
Rodney Dangerfield,
By far?
by far.
You like Andrew Dice Clay?
I do. Actually, he was Rodney Dangerfield helped him get his start. Yeah. I saw him at a Kill Tony event a few months ago, and he did his, nursery rhyme bit.
Did you have any?
He doesn't have the long locks anymore, though.
Were you ever scared when you first got up on the stage? I just can't fathom you going from automotive engineering design to all of a sudden going to Crackers Comedy Club and doing a bit. You weren't nervous?
Not really, because I worked at Honda, and we'd always have to make presentations, and to present the Japanese can be very.
Did you open up the Japanese line with a joke?
No, I didn't. I haven't joked about Japanese, but when you're presenting to them,
Right.
there's different rules than Americans. Like, if they don't say anything, that means you weren't that interesting, and they don't care about what you said. But if they engage you and ask you questions, that means they're interested in your topic. But the other side of the sword is when they ask you questions, there's an art to answering questions. Not to talk too much or use words that leave doubts in their mind.
It's funny you say that because that same analogy was played out in Wall Street too. Same exact thing where the guy was pitching hydro engineering technology, and he knew the customs to China. Gave him this, gave him that. He wound up getting a deal, but everybody else didn't know it, and it wound up helping him to get a deal. But now you're now getting on the stage. How did you work your first comedy line, and how did you know it was going to take off? You really didn't know until you performed it, I guess.
Well, I started writing some jokes, and then I put together a package that typically you have a 5-minute set, and I put it together, and I did it. And if the jokes, usually we have like open mics, 2 or 3 a night you can go to, and that's where you just work on your stuff, work on new material or polish up what you've got. And so you go to a bunch of those, try the set of jokes 5, 10 times, find out which ones are going well, which ones don't, and then you add and subtract accordingly.
How much of your material is from your own personal trials and tribulations?
I do a character, so I don't really talk about my life so much yet. I just added talking that I am an engineer, so I'm adding to my character that I'm smart, but I say dumb things.
That's a good pitch.
And my character is kind of apolitical, doesn't talk about controversial subjects. He's a nice guy, but he's kind of silly.
How long have you been doing the comedy stand up?
Almost a year. It'll be November 28th of 2023 when I had my first show on stage.
Almost going to get to that anniversary mark.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I set some basic goals, but it's blossomed in so many different ways than I imagined.
What do you like about it?
I love fishing, and why do I like fishing? And why do they call it? Why don't they call it catching instead of fishing? It's because when you fish, you throw out some kind of bait, whether it be artificial or worms or something like that, and then you're like anticipating, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? And that's the same way with comedy, is you throw something out and you see what the audience tells you back. Hopefully laughter, not booing.
Have you ever gotten booed?
I don't think I've ever been booed. I've been silenced where, you tell a joke and it's, I just heard a pin drop.
How do you master the art to recover from that?
Well, before I used to, I say, hey, he laughed. Even though nobody else did, I say, oh, he laughed. I saw he laughed.
Yeah.
And I would do that. But that would slow me down. So what I've learned is I've changed to where I just keep moving on. Boom, 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 boom. And I also say the word, okay. Like, the joke is no good, and I go, okay.
Yeah.
Like, next. Like, you didn't like it. Okay, let's go on. And a lot of times people laugh at that, just the okay.
Have your children, your son, has he come to watch you? The one that lives with you, has he come to watch you?
Yeah, my oldest son came. He and his wife came.
What do they think?
And they came to my first show, actually.
What do they say to you, Dad?
They said it was really good. We're not really into comedy, so we may not come back. Thanks for the support, son.
Oh, God. Okay, before we wrap up, you've been through some painstaking life experiences, is what I call them. What have you taken away from all that you've gone through right now? You do doing great on the comedy scene. You're definitely one of Ohio's #1 up-and-coming comedians. But with all that you've gone through, what have you learned from this journey?
Well, in the Bible where it says, all things work together for good for those who love him. Even though I've had some real lows, God has used those lows, those scars. When you have scars, you have testimony. You can help somebody else who's gone through the same thing. And God uses all the things that's happened in my life for my good. Didn't seem like it at the time. But now looking back, I can realize that.
Joy, how can the viewers reach out to you, find you on social media, and support your cause?
As far as my comedy, probably the best way is through Facebook. Joey Lee, I'm talking to them, right?
Yeah, you're talking to them.
Hi. Joey, Joey, space Lee, Lee. I'd love to have you as friends. I don't consider fans. I consider them friends. I give out T-shirts for free. I'm the only one who does that because I don't consider you ATM machines, and I'll invite you to shows while I'm in your local area. So that's how you can contact me. I have some other things, YouTube and things like that I'll introduce you to when you Facebook me.
Joey, thank you so much for taking time to come to Indianapolis and share such a beautiful story. Love to have you to come back. We'll do whatever we can to support your career and make sure that you keep flourishing. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.